Okay, it is 5 p.m. now, and let's start our today's webinar. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for watching today's webinar. I'm your friend Han Chen from SolaX Power Technical Training Center. Today's topic is SolaX Power's heat pump solution, Adapter Box Generation 2. Before we start today's webinar, I'd like to remind you that during the webinar, you can ask our staff all kinds of questions and in real time via the question box. My experienced and smart colleague will help me to answer all the questions. And before the end of the webinar, I will also check whether there are some remaining questions. I will also promise that all the questions will be answered before the end of today. So let's start. This is today's agenda, which can be mainly divided into 6 parts. Firstly, I will introduce the heat pump solution that SolaX Power provides to our customers and tell you the rules that our adapter box play in inverter plus heat pump system. In the second part, I will give you a comprehensive introduction to the adapter box generation 2, including its selling point, datasheet, and the topologies diagram. In the third part, I will compare adapter box generation 1 and the box generation 2, which I believe I can give you a more comprehensive understanding of the adapter box generation 2. The fourth part is the application scenario of the adapter box generation 2, which are the connection between the EV charger, the system with the storage inverter, and the system with the on-grid inverter. The fifth part of the module is the focus on the function of each port of the adapter box and the connection between the adapter box and some other design environments scenario. The sixth part is about remote monitoring and the control of the adapter box G2. After this module, I believe you will have a full understanding of the use of the adapter box, which I mean the SolaX Cloud. Okay, so let's jump into the first part. In brief, adapter box can be understood as the intelligence controller for a heat pump. Through a communication line with the inverter, it can act accordingly with a series of data transmitted by the inverter. In case the inverter system has excess solar energy or battery more power, the adapter box generation 2 uses this energy to create an optimal temperature environment for the customer. With the help of the adapter box generation 2, the customer can choose to have the heat pump system run intelligently or control the operation of the heat pump manually at any time and from anywhere. All in all, the adapter box generation 2 will bring the best heat pump experience to the customer. Let's move on to the second part of the overview of the adapter box generation 2. Firstly, thanks to the integrated Wi-Fi module, the adapter box generation 2 can be remotely controlled and set up. And the output mode of the adapter box can be changed at any time according to the different requirements. Secondly, the generation 2 has a dual control mode, which allows it to the output digital or analog signals. This allowed the generation 2 to be applied in varieties of the heat pump, including the S-ready heat pump, dry contract heat pump, and the analog control heat pump. In addition, the adapter box will use the energy generated by the excess PV to work, realizing the great power consumption. The customer can also set up a schedule to make the adapter box generation 2 to work for them automatically and intelligently throughout the year. And this kind of schedule can be repeated many times. This picture shows the datasheet of the adapter box generation 2. You can find in the dry contract, there are two different types of the voltage and the current outputs, which are corresponding to the digital output 1 to digital output 4, and the COM ports respectively. Sorry. This page, okay. Let's go on. Meanwhile, the analog output can output 0 to 10 volt difference voltage while corresponding to the different step and make the heat pump work with the different power. It can also be seen that the adapter box generation 2 use only a small portions of the system power, but it also have a IP65 degree of protection and can be used in environments ranging from -40 degree to 60 degree. This means the adapter box can operate in almost all kinds of environmental condition. For the customer using the system with the inverters and heat pumps, the adapter box is a cost efficiency choice. Okay, so let's jump into the topology of the adapter box generation 2. We can see that when it comes to the dry contract ports, it has 4 digital output ports and a COM port. A digital output 1 to digital output 4, where output 0 or 1 digital signal to control the heat pump. And the COM port will be used to form a loop between the DO port. For the analog output port, it can output an analog signal with a voltage of the 0 to 10 volts according to the needs of the adapter box. The third port, named RS485 inverter port, is used to connect to the compatible inverter. The inverter will not only supply power to the adapter box generation 2 using the pin 3 and the pin 6, but also would communicate with the adapter box J2 via the pin 4 and the pin 5. So, and what's next is the RS485 port. It is a split connection port for devices that need to be connected to the COM port of the inverter. Since the adapter box generation 2 already occupy this port, other devices can be connected to the RS485 port for normal use. The power adapter will be used if there are no suitable inverter in system. In this case, the adapter box J2 can get the read data by connecting the meter on the 485 inverter. Okay, so let's jump into the section 2, which is a compare between the adapter box and the generation 1 and 2. So for the generation 1, it only supports a dry contract communication. So that means the inverter will not supply power to the generation box. So it must have an extra port for the power. But for the generation 2, it realized the RS485 communication with the inverter. So they will have the better communication, and the inverter will also supply the generation box J2 with power. What's more, the generation 1 only support one kind of control mode, SJ-ready control. So that means the generation 1 only support to connect to the SJ-ready heat pump. But for the generation 2, it has 3 control modes, which are the analog output control, dry contract output control, and the SJ-ready control. 3 different control modes means that the generation 2 can be compatible with the most kind of the heat pump. The third thing is that the generation 1 don't have a Wi-Fi module, so we have no choice but to make all the settings due to the inverter, and we cannot use the application to control it. But for the generation 2, it have an integrate Wi-Fi module, and customer can use the SolaX cloud to monitor our generation 2, and we can also manage the remote control and the monitoring from the SolaX cloud. That will make the usage of the generator 2 become very convenient. Okay, what's next is the 3 scenario of the adapter box J2. First, for the energy storage inverter system, the current adapter box J2 can be compatible with these 4 kinds of inverter, which are X1 hybrid J4, X3 hybrid J4, X3 Ultra, and X3 IES, respectively. The adapter box need to be connected to the COM port of the energy storage inverter, and in the setting of the inverter, we need to set the function in Modbus to adapter box J2 in advanced setting. And we also need to set the baud rate to 9600, which is consistent with the inverter, so that the adapter box J2 can make the communication with them. But for the on-grid inverter module, we can see in on the right side, on the right figure, it would have a total difference connection. But first, I need to introduce the 3 kind of the 3 version of the inverter can be used for compatible with the adapter box J2, which are X3 Pro J2, X3 Mic J2, and X1 Mini J4, respectively. And it is also worth noting that in the grid connect inverter, on-grid inverter, the meter city point and the RS485 communication interface share the same port. So in the process of connecting adapter box J2, we need to use the RJ45 splitter to connect the communication cable of the CT and the communication cable of the adapter box J2 together into the on-grid inverter. So the picture of connection would look like that. Okay, the third scenario is when EV charger and adapter box J2 work together. For customers who want to use the EV charger and adapter box generation 2 at the same time, we provide 2 solutions. Firstly, we design the 485 port on the adapter box J2, so the users can connect the communication cable of the EV charger to this port directly. And this will realize the communication with the inverter. What's more, user can also choose to use the RJ45 splitter to connect the communication cable of the J2 and the connect the communication cable of the J2 and the EV charger together. And after that, connect this combination to the communication port of the grid connected inverter, both for the energy storage inverter and the on-grid inverter. Okay, the 4th section is about introduce of the connection part. First of all, as mentioned before, the inverter connection port and the other device connection port will be used to communicate with the inverter and the EV charger respectively. The 485 inverter port can provide the 12 volts power to the adapter box generation 2, and the auxiliary power supplying port is worth mentioning. You may wonder where this point is needed, since the 485 inverter port already provide power. This is because the adapter box J2 also allow the heat pump to be controlled independently of the adapter box by using the meter to obtain the grid side data without communication with the inverter. When the adapter box is not connected to an inverter, it is possible to control the heat pump remotely from the adapter box by adding the adapter box to the power site. In this case, only the manual mode can be used, and if a meter needs to be connected, the meter can be controlled to the 485 inverter. This means the adapter box generation 2 can also be used for customers who have already purchased an inverter of another brand. Okay, so this diagram shows the connection between the energy storage inverter and the adapter box J2 using the X3 hybrid generation 4 as the example. For the storage inverter, you only need to connect the COM port to the 485 inverter port on the adapter box to realize the communication between them. For the grid connected inverter, the on-grid inverter, the generation box J2 need to be connected to the port with different port name for the different models. For X1 meaning, this port is the COM and CT. For X3 MIC, this port is RS485. And for the X3 Pro, this port is named COM. What's next is a description of the 3 adapter box J2 work modes. For the dry contract mode, the generation 2 will use the 4 DO port to send commands to the heat pump to work at the different steps. So that the heat pump can work at the different power levels. For the SG ready mode, the generation 2 will use the DO1 port to issue a turn on or turn off command to the heat pump based on the current grid port data and the battery stage of charge status. For the analog output mode, the generation 2 outputs different voltage to instruct the heat pump to operate at different power level. The next section would describe the details of these 3 modes. The first mode is the dry contract. The first, when it comes to the connection of it, it's very easy. We just need to use the 5-port terminal. The female pluggable terminal blocks to insert into the dry contract terminal. And on this mode, the DO1 to DO4 can all work, and each digital output has a on or off status, which we also call it 0 or 1 status. So the digital output interface can represent the 16 modes of the heat pump work power. Here we need to notice that it is a default setting shown in this picture. We just use the DO1 to DO3 to represent a step of the work mode, and this 8th step will represent the power rate from 0 to 100%. The second work mode is the SG ready. It has a total same connection method when it's compared to the dry contract. But for the SG ready, we only use the digital output 1 to work, and it's also a default setting. We can use the digital output 1 to control the heat pump's power on or power off. We can also set some signal on condition or signal off condition. Due to the setting, the system will automatically to judge whether we need to turn on or off the heat pump. Okay, I will talk here more in detail in the following section, so don't worry. The last work mode is the analog output. Different from the digital output, it used the different voltage to represent the different steps. For the for the dry contract, we use the different combination of the board, DO, port to represent different steps. But for the analog output work mode, we use the different voltage value to represent different steps. Okay, so let's jump into the final section, but also an important section is how to make the generation box J2 application registration. First of all, the user need to fill in the relevant information according to the requirements and build their own power station. After building the power station, the customer can add the adapter box generation into their power station by inputting the registration number of the adapter box J2 in at device, or they can scan the QR code directly, which I think is more easier. For the customer who already have a monitoring account, I mean some customer who have some maybe inverter or something else to their accounts, that would be much more easier because they just need to go to the device page and tap the plus icon on the upper right corner and add the adapter box generation to their account due to the scanning QR code or inputting the registration number. And this page shows the adapter box generation to monitor interface. After adding the device to your account, we can select adapter box from the drop-down list in upper left corner to open the monitoring interface. And just shown on this right side picture, we can find this adapter box generation tool is worked in dry contract status. Due to the dry contract 1 and dry contract 2 light is on, we can know that it's worked in step 3 mode. Oh, well, it also shows that it's a step 3, sorry. So, and an analog output is the 0 bar set here. So that means this adapter box is working dry contract mode and work on the step 3. What's more, you can also choose to make the adapter box generation to work manually or automatically by choosing the option at the main interface of the adapter box. You can see that when we choose the automatic mode, we cannot change the step setting. It will work in the logic according to your schedule. The next part is the instructions for using 3 modes of the operation of the adapter box J2. In this section, I will show you how to make the control of the generation 2 and how to set different work mode. First, when it comes to the dry contract control, it have a maximum of 15 steps, and we can change the step as required. What you'll be notice that if you just use our default setting and you think you do not need so much step, you can change the max step from 15 to 7. And what's more, you can also set the speed of each step according to the speed of the heat pump at the step setting. You can see this option on your application, and the left, the down left picture shows the step setting. We can change the rated at here, and realized up to 15 step of different power rate. What also need be noticed is the fallback step is required. If our inverter's communication is interrupted and the generation to only have the power supply, he would have no choice but to work in the fallback step. But this also means that without communications from the inverter, the generation 2 can still work as normal, but cannot change the step. And you will also see that we can change the load capacity at here. We would set this value due to the heat pump power. We just need to set this value same as the heat pump's power. Okay, so what's next? What's next is about the analog output control mode. Similarly, it also have a 15 maximum step, but you can reduce this number as you want. Well, what is deserved to be noticed is that the interval between the step is approximately 10 seconds, and the analog output level would be increased or decreased in sequence. The step cannot be skipped. That means if I want to change the step from the step off to the step 4, it need to be experience the step off to the step 1, step 1 to the step 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. So the inverter interval times is 14 seconds in all. And we also need to notice that how to set the load capacity. We can just set this value as same as the nominal output of heat pump. Okay, and let's talk about the last work mode setting, which is the SG ready control. It only have the turn on or turn off two condition, but we can set the signal on condition and the signal off condition. I need to notice that these two conditions will judge whether the system will let the heat pump to power on or power off. But if the two conditions are both met, the signal off condition would have the higher priority than the signal on condition. That means when both conditions are met, we will turn the heat pump off. And we can also see the elimination of the signal on at here. Okay, this is the logic of the SG ready control, and I think this table really concludes the working logic very well. But I also need to notice that we should select we need to select and or all at here. Just showing in this picture, we can see that in the signal on condition and signal off condition, they all have a choice from and to all. And for the all, that means when other condition is met, the system would send the turn on commands to the heat pump or the turn off commands to the heat pump. But if we select the ends, that means only when the both conditions are met, the system would send corresponding commands to the heat pump. I will not make a detailed introduction at here. So if you are interested about the logic of how the SG ready control work mode work, you can refer to our menu, and you will also found this table. And I think this table really make everything clear. Okay, the lastly is the schedule function introduction. After entering the schedule in the main interface, you can create a new schedule by clicking the plus sign in the upper right corner, where you can set the start time and the end time of the adapter box generation 2. And you can also set a new schedule to be used on a weekly or monthly circuit. The schedule can be used on a weekly or monthly circuit, and each adapter box can have up to 6 time periods. So you need to pay attention to the fact that when a schedule is useless, you need to delete it to avoid the system working incorrectly and occupying the space of other schedule. Well, that's all the contents of the adapter box generation 2, but finally we would like to introduce you to our SolaX Academy website, which you can access by scanning the QR code on the right or using the URL below. On this site, you can watch all the videos of Provise webinars, and there is also a knowledge base and e-learning to help you better understanding the operation and the features of all our products. If you want to learn more about our products, you can try to work it once, and we believe that all our efforts can satisfy you. Okay, so that's everything about our today's webinar, but I also want to notice, please leave us the feedback, and you would have a chance to win a $50 Amazon voucher. In the next maybe 10 or maybe 20 minutes, we will answer the remaining question. So please don't wonder, but just to answer everything you're interested about the adapter box generation 2. And I will also help our customer to answer this question. So that's all the contents here. That's all the contents today. Thank you for your attendance, and keep safe. Bye-bye.